Coming to you from the Black Swan Media Studios, this is Fireside Chats, talking to the real difference makers in the world. Now, here is your host, John Crump.
Well, it is Tuesday, and it is the beginning of a new week for me, at least. A lot of good stuff has been going on, a lot of bad stuff has been going on, and everything in between. My court case was heard yesterday against the governor of Virginia, Ralph Blackleaf Northam. If you don't know what that's about, just Google it. And it looked like we did really well. They tried to throw it out on mootness because if you don't know what my court case is, they shut down ranges in Northern Virginia, but then the rest of the state is open. They allowed the ranges to open in Northern Virginia now, so they said my case was moot because all the ranges are open now. And I said, no, it's not, because you can shut down at any time. The judge agreed with us. And throughout that, they asked a lot of tough questions, mostly to the state side, which was surprising because we have a liberal judge. And we are waiting to hear back what the final decision will be on my injunction against the governor. This would be the second law case I'm involved in against them. Actually, more than two, but the last two, this is the third this year. And we won one and tied one, I guess you can say. So we will see what happens. I just want to also take a moment, and I'll shout this out later on in the show. If you don't know, my niece has been diagnosed with a really aggressive form of brain cancer. All you really have to know about it is that the survival rate, the 5-year survival rate is less than 1%. The family's going through a lot, and medical bills are piling up. Even with insurance, copays are just massive. She's been in the hospital for a while. She's been resuscitated once with CPR, and the bills keep on piling up. There is a GoFundMe in the description of the video, no matter what platform you're watching on. Also, all Patreons money from now in the foreseeable future will go to that. Any super chats will go to that. Any PayPal donations will all go to that. Any shirts sold, all the proceeds from Black Swan Tactical on anything sold on the website will go to them. Every penny that I make on YouTube or through anything, my writing, whatever, is going to them. But that's neither here nor there. Right now, I am joined tonight by someone who I've read about so much in the past that I never had a chance to reach out to, and I finally did. She also has a habit of suing states, and her name is Rhonda Ezell from Ezell vs. Chicago, and also of Chicago Guns Matter. And I want to welcome you to the show, Rhonda.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me. First of all, let me say blessings and prayers to you and your family, and I will be sending out many prayers for you guys.
Yeah, that is one thing we definitely do need, prayers and everything else. Would you mind lowering your camera a little bit?
Lowering it?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want you to see some things in the background. No.
No, I can see your eyes like you're peeking around.
How's that? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's better. I see John Voorhees out there and some other people out there. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
All right, let's get into who you are. I write a lot of articles. I'm a firearms journalist, so I've actually written about Ezell versus Chicago, which is what you are known for a lot. Besides Chicago Guns Matter, we'll get into Chicago Guns Matter a little bit later. But since I've written about your case, tell people what your case was about.
Well, I'm Rhonda Ezell. I was the lead plaintiff in Ezell versus City of Chicago. I took on the City of Chicago for the right to bring gun ranges. The Ezell case came about after the McDonald case. You know, Illinois was the last state to get concealed carry, But prior to that, the city of Chicago had a total ban on firearm ownership. So in 2010, Otis McDonald, along with David and Colleen Lawson, took on the city of Chicago for the right to own a gun in the home. And that case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. So once I saw that victory had taken place, I was sitting home, I was watching television, and I was like, oh, we can have a gun in the home. So I wanted to comply. And so as I got the information that I needed, I signed up for a class and a course, and I got to the training facility, and the guy said, hey, here's some information. Tomorrow we're gonna go to the range portion. This was after we completed the initial training part. And I said, well, where's this? And he goes, oh, this is in Dundee, Illinois. So the city of Chicago mandated the training to own a firearm, but they did not have a gun range available. So I found myself going outside of the city to comply with that ordinance. And then I reached out to the Illinois State Rifle Association, which I'm a lifetime member of. And I told them, I said, look, guys, these are the things I had to go through just to comply. You know, what's going on here. So they checked into it, and we came to the conclusion that my rights had been violated, and Ezell versus Chicago was born. So we took on the city for the right to bring gun ranges. And of course, believe it or not, just like you stated in your Virginia case, they tried to say that it was moot. And this was in the beginning. This was the first case because they knew that they were losing. But we didn't allow that. So we won that first case just on the strength of having the right to build a gun range, which was also significant because what it did after the McDonald case was it extended gun rights outside the home. Because once we had the right to have a gun in the home after McDonald versus Chicago case, they put measures in place where you could not take that firearm outside of your home. They didn't want you to take it on your back porch, your front porch, your garage, or anything that's connected to your property, because they were just that angry that they had lost in court. And, you know, once we won the first Ezell case, they came back with more shenanigans about where you can and where you can't build a gun range, and 500 yards or feet from here, and so on and so forth, whether it's a school, a daycare, a liquor store, a church. Okay, we're in Chicago. There's about 12 of each on every block. I mean, come on, let's be real here. So that would limit the 1% of the city to actually build a gun range. And so we took on them twice, and we beat them twice. And we knocked down a whole bunch of things in that case. The Ezell versus City of Chicago case has a lot of great things in it. You know, tell these attorneys when they're fighting these cases to look deep into it, because there's a lot there. And the Ezell case right now is one of 3 cases that are moving these Second Amendment cases across the country, you know, continuing to fight for these rights. And I'm glad that my case is one of those cases outside of the Heller case and the McDonald case. It's very significant because what we see right now in this country with racial equality, people that don't understand they have a fundamental right to keep and bear arms, and they want to say that the Black community is not involved. You have 2 Black lead plaintiffs whose cases are moving this country forward. And that's Otis McDonald and myself, Rhonda Ezell.
Yeah, people don't realize that. Your case was very interesting because you said, as you said, they tried all these shenanigans. They tried to like shut down ranges. They're like, okay, you can build a range, but then they put so many zoning laws in effect that it was basically a de facto ban. And much like in Heller, how they kept on trying to change the rules to try to get around it, eventually they got slapped down and they had to admit defeat. But it takes a while because they will try anything. The politicians, the anti-gun politicians, will try anything to try to work around that, saying, "Oh, we're not saying you can't build a range in Chicago. You can build a range in Chicago anywhere, unless it's within a certain amount of feet of a house or something, or a school, liquor store. It was a bunch of different things."
And a good thing about that right now is we knocked all of that down. And so, although we still don't have a range, people that want to build a range, get involved, invest. It could happen, you know, but so much has happened since then. I mean, this year we're looking at the 10-year anniversary of McDonald versus Chicago, and next year will be my 10-year anniversary of the Ezell versus City of Chicago. But with what we're dealing with COVID and then the murder of George Floyd, things have changed dramatically. But this is a great time to speak on Second Amendment rights because there was a lot of civil unrest that's going on across the country. It has nothing to do with what city is bad and what violence is going on in one place. We all have to be on point at this moment in time because what we've seen taking place, people must, there's no doubt about it, they must be prepared to defend their life without hesitation.
Yeah, when COVID first broke out, all the gun stores had a run, and all the guns flew off the shelves. All the ammo flew off the shelves. Then, when COVID started calming down, the guns started to build back up again. And then, like the civil unrest across the country, now they're all flowing off the shelf. Again, right now, I wrote an article for Outdoor Magazine that's coming out this summer. And as of the end of April, not even taken into May, as of the end of April, 2020 has sold 1 million more firearms than any other year. And that's through April.
Absolutely. And I think that was through April. I think just last month there was another million. So it's somewhat around 3 million though. If I mean I don't have the absolute number, but we know it was 1 million in April and it continued because once this situation that we're in now came about, people really were running to the gun store. And what they failed to realize is all that time that they were calling for gun control, they didn't understand that there was a background check in place already, that you would have to wait a certain period amount of time to receive your firearm in your hand based on what state you live in. And they didn't understand that until now, when they get to say, well, okay, now I've made the choice to defend myself and my family. By the way, all 3 million of you guys, welcome. Welcome to the Second Amendment family. We welcome you. If you need training, find someone to educate you on firearms safety and training so that you can be able to use your firearm safely. So now we see those people that didn't understand that in the beginning found themselves in a predicament where they had to go and legally obtain a firearm for self-defense. And they wanted it instant gratification. They wanted it right then and right there, and that's not how it works. You have to fill out the 4473 form. You have to do a background check. They have to make sure you're fine. You don't have anything on your record, and you wait. However many days it takes in your state, then you get that. Now they see what gun owners actually go through.
Well, they were always told that it was easier to buy a gun than to buy a book and all these other things. Then to come to find out, it's not easy. In fact, when I was writing my article, I was talking to a lot of first-time gun owners because 80% of the guns purchased have been purchased by first-time gun owners. And what I kept on hearing is, I tried to order a gun off the internet. I was always told you can buy a gun off the internet. And they're like, they had to ship it to a firearms dealer, and then I had to pay a fee to them and a background check. And they're like, this is crazy. I'm like, that's what I've been telling you.
So all that loophole stuff that they were speaking of, it doesn't exist. Oh, I can get this ghost gun off the internet, or I can get me a gun off the internet. Whatever the case may be, you need a firearm license dealer to be able to transfer that firearm and have it in your possession after that. So once they learn these rules and regulations, hopefully they will start to respect what they didn't understand, because the Second Amendment community is a big community, and we're a caring community. We're here to help. We're fighting for everyone's rights. We want to make sure that people get educated. By the way, out of all the 3 million new gun owners out there, if you are looking for some firearm safety training and education, find someone in your state. All the women out there that are new gun owners, you can go to the dcproject.info, DC Project. We are women that goes down to Washington, D.C. to speak with our legislators as gun owners. And there are a lot of trainers in the DC Project, and I'm quite sure they're willing to give a training class, of course, to anyone. And there's a lot of friends in the TWIG community that give classes as well.
Yeah, the DC Project is definitely a good place. In fact, I talked to Jill from the DC Project a little bit earlier.
Did you?
Virginia, yeah, I know Jill. I know Diana. I know a lot of
Great.
them. Yeah, a lot of the DC Project women have been on my show. Cheryl Todd.
Hey,
I am a
absolutely.
huge supporter of the
Good.
DC Project. In fact,
Well, thank you.
in the QA meeting, I was plugging the DC Project. I think we might be doing some stuff with DC Project soon, at least the Virginia chapter with the DC Project. But yeah,
Can you see me because I can't see you?
I can see you.
Okay, well, I have a black screen on my end, but we're going to keep going.
All right. Like Lenny from Facebook says, he runs into the same false belief system in his family in Washington State. And so my question to Lenny is, what are you doing to educate them on the actual facts out there? Because that's one thing that we all need to do. Okay, so you got the case, and you know people are allowed to build ranges in Chicago now. Whether they do or not, that's a massive undertaking to do anyway, to build a range. With you have the EPA to sign off, you have ATF to sign off. It's just a lot of hoops to jump through, and it's very expensive.
Well, if the people that have the money, they want to do it, it could be done. It's still a business. And was that a question from Lenny? Because I missed.
No, he was just saying that he runs into the same situation where people know false facts. Yeah, I think it's an average of like $4 million to open up a range that you need. Because
that's fine though. It could be done. I mean, it's not like if you do it the right way, you don't have to open up a 20, 30 lane range here. The objective is to get a range there so that the people can go in and continue their firearm safety training and education. Because I can tell you, the work that we did at Chicago Guns Matter with putting faces to the cases, because when we fought for rights and we took on the political powers to be here in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, we literally put our lives on the line for this. And for people not to understand who we are and the things that we've done, you kind of say, well, where are you? What rock are you living under? Because for the last decade, we've been on the front lines fighting for your rights. And we wanted to make sure that we can say, hey, are you aware of who Mr. Otis McDonald is? Are you aware of the McDonald Chicago case, the Ezell versus Chicago case, or the Moore versus Madigan case, or the Shepard versus Madigan case? And give them some sort of education on in the background of those cases that were fought, that restored these rights. And they'll have some place to go, because it's more than being a household name. Because if you're a household name in the Second Amendment community, but regular people aren't Second Amendment people, then they're not going to look toward that community to get that information. So that's why we push so hard and try to use social media to get the word out that we are here and we're out here and we've done these things. So hopefully we'll reach the amount of people that need to be reached so that they can wake themselves up. I mean, if we're looking at this crisis that we're dealing with right now, people are buying guns. Obviously, they know it's that time. It's never too late. We're glad they're getting involved, and hopefully they understand that we're here.
Yeah, Lenny says he invites go shooting, post a lot, talks to people, and he likes your evangelizing of the Second Amendment. So let's go into what Chicago Guns Matter is. I'm friends with Maj Torre, who runs Black Guns Matter, who've actually been out of Chicago a lot. I think your organizations do similar things?
Well, the difference between Chicago Guns Matter and Black Guns Matter is that we are plaintiffs. We are fighters. We restored rights. We took on the political powers to be as individuals who had to sue the city. So we're the ones that fought and won lawsuits. So there, we don't do training in classes. We are plaintiffs. But if we didn't get out in the forefront and say, look, we are Black. We are Black. Like, because this is what people keep saying, like the Black community don't exercise their rights. Yes, we do. And we're making history in the United States of America doing so. And the fact that they don't know that is why Chicago Guns Matter exists. Put face to the case.
You're a Second Amendment person. You can't be Black. You got to be.
Absolutely.
You're a white,
that's too much like
man, right?
A white old man with a plaid shirt on. They said. And so, but let me finish. And what Maj does, Maj go out and he do de-escalation. He do a little bit of training. He brings in people training classes and courses and lawyers and things like that to reach the people to actually have a little bit of hands-on. So he does the hands-on in the streets. We've been in the streets decade ago. We were doing that 10 years ago when Mr. McDonald and myself and all the other people, we would go out to the train stations and the L's and the bus stations, and we would pass out literature. And these people would literally look us in the face, ball up our literature and throw it on the ground and tell us that we were crazy because we would never carry a gun in Chicago. You will never carry a gun in Chicago. And this is back in 2010. And so when I say that we've been on the ground in the trenches, we've done that. We've been on the L's. We've been on the buses. We've been on the trains. And those people laughed at us. And we said, okay, we're fighting hard for your rights, but you may not believe us now, but you will thank us later. And so that's what Chicago Guns Matter is. We are plaintiffs that had to sue to restore gun rights because we had a total ban on handgun ownership, firearm ownership in Chicago for over 3 decades. And it was put in place by one of the most corrupt aldermen in the city council, who is now indicted. You know what I'm saying? So he's still in office. He's been stripped of some of his duties, but here we are. So go figure. I mean, Chicago is the #1 corrupt city in the nation, and the state is the #3 corrupt state, probably #2 by now. I mean, our governor, current governor, is the same governor that was caught on FBI wiretap with the previous governor who just got let out of jail by the president. I mean, so here we are. So the hard work paid off. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between Chicago Guns Matter and Black Guns Matter. Because Maj, he go out and he do his thing with hands-on and bring in trainers and bring in some lawyers and things of that nature to reach the people so that they can understand that these are their rights too. I've spoken at some of Maj's event. My granddaughter has been there. He talks about us in some of his when he do his classes and courses. So he have us up on the screen and he tells them about our cases as well. So we kind of cross-reference and we good with each other, and we, you know, Maj is like a son to me, you know. So you laugh like that, but guess what? A lot of people don't even know how old I am, and that's fine too. But that is the difference between Chicago Guns Matter and Black Guns Matter. But we're definitely fighting the same fight. Make no mistake about it, because we want to put that information out there that it is normal for Black people to own guns. Let's stop acting as if, oh, it's so taboo when Black people have guns, or they're gonna kill each other. Oh my goodness, why do the Black people? No, it's our fundamental constitutional right too. And I can guarantee you, based on the cases that we fought and the way they're being utilized across the country, they're moving Second Amendment rights forward for the rest of eternity.
I've done work with Black Lives Matter, been to Maj's events and stuff like that, and people were like, "Why are you trying to get guns into the inner city? It's going to be a bloodbath." I'm like, "Is it a bloodbath in suburbia?" They're like, "No, but that's different." And it's like, and I'm like, and you're supposed to be this woke person who. fighting, but you.
When people say things like that, the only thing I can tell them is if we evaluate the crime rate in these cities, and Chicago isn't even in the top 10 for crime, but if we evaluate the shootings and killings that we see in these cities, common sense should tell you they already have a gun. Now, they may not be owning them legally and lawfully, but the fact that you want to make the statement of don't try to put guns in the inner city, they have them. What we're doing is trying to educate the legal, lawful gun owners that want to get involved, that wants to say, I think it's that time for me to get involved with being proactive in protecting my life and the life of my loved ones. So, that is why we're here. That is why Chicago Guns Matter is here. Because before I even got on social media, and it's not my thing, I don't like social media, I was just a household name. Ezell versus Chicago, Ezell versus Chicago. So each and every time I see my case has been cited in a winning, I go to that case load and I pull a little bit out and I make it be known. Because I'm trying to break the stigma of Black people shouldn't have guns or Black people don't have guns. You know what I'm saying? Black people are fighting to restore rights. I mean, what's this about Black and white? These are all of our rights. The Second Amendment is not for Republicans. It's not for Democrats. It's for Americans. It's for all of us. But it's been utilized as a pawn for so long,
Yeah, that's what I like to say. I like to say all rights are for everyone, even people that you might not agree with or not like.
Right.
I was asked, do I support the Black Lives Matter protest? And I said, absolutely, I do. And they were like, but you also supported and they were, what did they say? They're like, but you also supported the protest to save Confederate monuments. I'm like, yeah, I supported that. I supported the people's right to protest that too. And my thing is, it's not about what you believe in. You have the right to protest. So I will support your right to protest. And I think a lot of anti-gun people get into this thing where they don't see rights extending to everyone. Only certain
A lot of
people.
people believe that. A lot of people believe that, and you can see it in some of the things that they say when they're writing on social media. But let me say this: the Second Amendment protects every amendment in the United States Constitution, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And it protects free speech. When people are marching and protesting, I care less about their organization. They have a right to free speech. We would be selfish to believe that we could point the finger and say what group can and can't march and protest under what jurisdictions or whatever meaning that they stand for. That is the reason the Constitution exists in the first place. Whether we agree with them or not is a different story. That is personal.
Yeah, I think a lot of
once again, people fail to realize that you don't get to pick and choose which organization can march and protest because the Second Amendment protects free speech.
Yeah, what a lot of people also don't realize is the first gun control in the country was after the Civil War, and it was targeted at Black people. And also, the modern gun control movement that dates back to the 60s in California was because the Black Panthers marched with firearms.
Well, let's just back up slightly 1 second here. It did revolve from that, but it happened because when the Black people were freed of slavery and the Black Panther Party marched on the steps of the Capitol in California, the Ku Klux Klan said, no, we can't have that. Lyndon B. Johnson did sign that Gun Control Act into law, but it was because they feared that the Black community would defend themselves. They feared of an uprising in self-defense from the days of slavery. Absolutely. And if we're talking about right now, if we're right now talking about racial equality, then we should abolish every gun control law that exists because it was clearly put in place to prevent the Black community from exercising the right. Period.
Well, that's what I was gonna get to. The gun control laws were put on after the Civil War and also during the '60s to try to control the black population. When the Black Panthers marched, people thought, "Oh my God, that they have guns. They were not going to be able to control them." And
that's all it was about. That's what gun control is. That's the terminology within itself. Gun control. Gun control is not about safety. It is about controlling the people. So fast forward to today, we are so ahead of the curve now that we're talking about racial equality. How could you not ask to get rid of gun control when it was one of the top 3 tiers that affected the Black community from slavery, Jim Crow laws, and gun control? So, like I said, Illinois is one of the 4 states that exist to have a FOID card. Void the FOID. Abolish the FOID card Act. We shouldn't have to pay fines and fees to exercise our rights. Self-defense is a human right.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to pay fines and fees and get an ID to say, "Oh, I can protect myself and my family and my loved ones." That's ridiculous.
You know what I equate those to when you have to pay for a gun license and whatnot? I equate those to kind of like a poll tax. Where
here they've stole the money, so they've taken the money out of the account and with Illinois State Police account, and I guess they got a good feel for it, so they want to try to push forth another bill to raise the prices and lower the amount of years you can have the card. I say void the FOID altogether. If we get rid of the FOID card, we shouldn't be paying to exercise rights, because right now we're talking about racial equality. That's racist to have to pay for a FOID card to exercise a human right. We have a right to self-defense, period, point blank. There shouldn't be any ifs, ands, or buts about it. They know it. They're just utilizing it as a slush fund, and they're not putting the money back into the system as it was supposed to be. So, but I'm all for getting rid of the FOID card.
Yeah, I agree with you. Luckily in Virginia, we do not have that. We do have a governor that is kind of a hypocrite on a lot of gun rights issues and everything else.
Absolutely, he is. He is, and I'm glad Ezell versus Chicago showed up in that case too. And the case they tried to move the case. They do these things because they know they're going to lose, and they try to beat you to the punch. But then they will be able to come back and do something else. That's why I think the Supreme Court needs to actually take up at least one of these Second Amendment cases and solidify what the Second Amendment is and leave it at that. Because at this point in time, they have to find something else as the scapegoat to use in politics, because they've been dragging the Second Amendment back and forth so much between Democrats, Republicans, and they utilize the Second Amendment as their little, pawn. It's ridiculous. So like you said, Virginia, Governor Northam, he put so many rules and regulations in place in Virginia. It's sad. He knows he's doing the wrong thing. He's violating you guys' state constitution in the process.
Absolutely.
And when we see these cases that's filed across the country, and the Heller case and the McDonald versus Chicago case show up, and now the Ezell versus Chicago case showing up, because this gun range case is a great case to move things forward. And I'm glad that you guys won in Virginia. And I can't say it enough that I hope everybody wins their cases each and every time that they have to go in front of a judge and fight a case for a violation of Second Amendment rights, because they know that what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah, I think there was another case that just today, somewhere. I think it might have been
my friend is going to get me if I get this wrong. The Connecticut Citizen Defense League won their case, and my case was cited in there as well. And I'm happy to see that. And the reason I keep saying that and reiterating my case, because we know that the Heller case and the McDonald case were actually Supreme Court cases. So they are top-notch cases that's going to be used every time to solidify a win. My case is the up and coming case that's standing right there with them, that's going to be standing side by side, winning these cases moving forward. And I can't stress it enough. That's why it's important to say, hey, I'm Rhonda Ezell. My case was cited here. Once again, it goes back to tapping into the Black community. If we don't educate them, why was that case won? Oh, they utilized the case from Ezell versus Chicago. Oh, that's a Black woman. Yes, and I know I'm using the terminology a lot, but I'm trying to wake the people up. Stop acting as if this is new for Black people to own guns. You follow me? Because that's the hard thing.
I agree with you 100%. Lenny wants to know if any national gun groups have supported your case.
Gun groups?
Yeah.
Oh, my case was definitely supported by the Second Amendment Foundation. Second Amendment Foundation, Illinois State Rifle Association, those were our co-plaintiffs as well. And that was for my case. The Second Amendment Foundation did that. Absolutely. Yeah. And these people right here were my co-plaintiffs too. This is from Action Target.
Nice.
So when we get a range, we'll get back with them, and we'll have some connections to get some things that we need for a gun range.
That would be awesome. One of the things that I wonder, when you talk to like your neighbors and other people around you, and you say, hey, you should check out, owning a gun or whatnot, and going to the range and going to shooting. Because I told one of my friends who happened to be Black that, hey, you should go shooting with me. And he's like, man, I don't want any trouble. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want any trouble? And I was under the impression that, he was going to go to the range and all there was going to be a bunch of redneck hillbillies there, flying Confederate flags or whatnot. And that is a common misconception.
It is. It's one of the greatest misconception of all time. But that's because people have been mentally manipulated to believe that if they have a gun in their possession, that is taboo. That's the problem. I don't talk too much to my neighbors and friends because I like to keep a low profile, because I don't broadcast who I am in the neighborhood, because then I don't want people to try to track my comings and goings, and then you set yourself up for something to happen when you're not around. So that's one thing I keep to myself. I may go somewhere else and have a conversation with people about firearm ownership, and I will educate them on who we are. I will give them a business card. I'll give them something to say, hey, go to our website and just read the cases first. If you have any questions, send us an email. If I don't have the answer, I have a bunch of friends that could get answer for me, and I'll get back to you. So yeah. I get out there and I speak to these people. But my neighbors, you got to kind of watch your neighbors. Just be safe. This is Chicago, remember? I have good neighbors, though. I have good neighbors. But like I said, being a firearm owner, that's one thing you kind of want to limit when you conversate with neighbors on a serious note, because you don't tell people those type of things. But as far as educating, if they ask, then you educate them and you keep it moving. But anyone on the street, if I have a general conversation, I'll give a business card. I'll say, reach out to our website. If you have a question, send us an email. Definitely get you an answer.
All right. I just want to throw out there one more time about my niece. My niece is suffering from brain cancer, and all the money I make on my Patreon through the PayPal account, through Super Chats, and also there's a GoFundMe linked in every description. It will help them out, her family out, because medical bills are piling up. And I just wanted to throw that plug out there one more time because a lot of people come in later on in the show. So just wanted to throw that out. So if
Blessings
you
join the Patreon,
PayPal, or you can go to the GoFundMe that's actually in the website. And I just want to show the GoFundMe really quick to show her beautiful picture so everyone out there can see this beautiful young girl who is now fighting for her life. And that is her right there. Yeah. Okay. Enough of the sad stuff.
Blessings and prayers to your family.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So GOA, the organization I work for, has been spending a lot of time, effort, and money going into the inner city to try to educate people on the Second Amendment. I don't know if you're familiar with Antonia Okafor.
Absolutely. Antonia
Yeah.
Okafor and myself and my granddaughter, we did a documentary together.
All right. Well, Antonia went to Minneapolis with Maj, and she brought her new baby, in fact.
I saw them out there helping clean up, and then Maj was doing a class in the street, educating as well. And she did there for the cleanup.
Yeah. Do you think the inroads that GOA is trying to make by funding Maj to go out there and sending Antonia out to the inner city during this chaotic time that we're living in, do you think that is going to make a difference, or do you think it's making a difference?
Well, everything we do make a difference, because even if we reach one person, we've done our job, because we do this from passion. We do this from our heart. And the work that they did will touch someone's heart. People lost everything. People lost their lives. And when you see people that come out and show that they care, absolutely it's going to reach someone. Now, how many people, that remains to be seen. But the notion that they went to show the people that they care, absolutely. It was a great thing.
Yeah, they were volunteer. They volunteered to do that.
Great.
And I think it was really good, and it put a good face on who
it did. It put a great face on who gun owners is. It also showed them that there are Black gun owners out here, people fighting for your rights. And here are a few of the few right here standing along side by side with you, making a difference. And they probably didn't even know that. You know what I'm saying? So when you show up in person and you make that connection physically and you say, look, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer. And they'll say, wow, I didn't even know that you exist. Now, what you did, you've embedded into their mind. Firearm safety training and education, they're going to go look on your site. They're going to Google you. They're going to find you on social media. And then they're going to start to follow. And then hopefully they'll start to share that information. And it carries on and it continues. So absolutely, it was great that they were out there. They're young, so they can handle all that. That was great for them.
Yeah, they are young. I'm old.
Yeah, I think I got you too in age. So.
You maybe not. I'm in my mid-40s.
Yeah, and I'm in my mid-50s.
Okay. Oh.
Once again.
Well, you look really young.
That's why I said people keep forgetting. They don't understand. I'll tell you like this. They don't understand because, once again, when they say, okay, here's the Black gun owner, here's the Black owner, then it goes Ezell, Antonia, and Maj, and they think that we're in the same age group. And we're not. We're just the same powerhouse fighters.
Yeah. Antonia's young.
And I love them. They're in their 30s. They're the same age as my child.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah. They're great people.
I love them. I love them. I love the work that they do. We've done work before. We'll do work again. And yeah, we're all in this fight together, especially this 2A fight, because we have to reach the Black community more now than ever, because they don't understand. They're not well versed in the Second Amendment. They don't know they have a right. They don't understand the laws, rules, and regulations in their states or in their cities. And that's where we come in at. If they find a link to one of us to where it's though, okay, I went to Maj came out and he gave out some literature, or Antonia did a event and she spoke, and I got this from her, and there was some literature and they shared our information, or however we present each other when we're out doing what we do, and we pass that information on, and those people take that and they go home and they process it and break it down and they come to a conclusion. It's like, oh, okay, here's some information I didn't have. Here's some information I didn't even know about. Because what I've been learning, what I've been knowing in my own circle wasn't true. I always thought, people don't know that they can have a firearm.
Who's done a really good job at reaching out is Kevin Dixie.
Absolutely. Katie, I love Katie. He's a great guy. All these guys, we see each other at these events a lot. And this year kind of really put a damper on things because everybody in the Second Amendment community had to cancel a lot of events this year that we all normally would show up and be at. So, KD is a great guy. No other choice. I don't want to try to name everything because I may get it wrong and then they're going to get me for that. But he's a great guy as well. And like I said, we are out here. We're knowledgeable. People just have to understand that and know that.
Yeah, I brought him on my show to talk about and explain Black Wall Street. We did a whole show on it out in St. Louis, where it was like where they disarmed everyone, then they bombed Black Wall Street, basically.
That was a lot. It was a lot of death, a lot of destruction.
Yeah, and, so a lot of people weren't aware of it, especially my own.
A lot of people weren't aware, and Kevin Dixie is one of the guys that kind of brought that to light for a lot of people, even myself. Like I said, I'm not a guru. I'm here to learn as well. If we live long enough, we'll learn more.
Yeah, we have to learn together.
We learn from each other. It's not about a competition. I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm here to learn just like everyone else. But I'll do my due diligence. I'll do my part. I will be the fighter. I will stand up. I will go against the political powers to be. I will speak. I will do whatever I need to do to get the Second Amendment point across that Black people and Black gun owners are here, and educate them, to do so. They don't have to fear owning a gun. They just need to know better, because if they knew better, they do better.
Yeah. I actually think that it would make the inner city community a little bit safer if there was more legal gun owners.
Well, I'm not even. I don't even specifically narrow it down to the inner city. I narrow it down to firearm ownership. If you are a gun owner, regardless to where you live, you should be as safe as possible in utilizing that tool. Now, the inner city may be harder to reach because they're behind the curveball with, legally obtaining firearms. But that has all changed within the last few years. I mean, as a matter of fact, the Black community, especially Black women, have been getting guns more than any other ethnic group. But now we're seeing 1 million gun owners or 2 million new gun owners. So that strategically just changed within the last couple of months based on what we've been dealing with in this country. So, it's out there now, and the Black community is in it. It is our job to try to get our message across as much as we possibly can. And, that's what we're going to do. I don't worry about color. People do. I hate when they do that. So when I have to kind of step in that arena and lay things out, I will, because we're here and we're fighting on the forefront. And people should not be judgmental about the color of the skin of an individual exercising their fundamental constitutional right to keep and bear arms, because the second is for all.
Exactly.
And that guy is a great guy too, Tony Simon. He's a great Second Amendment guy as well.
Yeah, Tony's a good guy. Every time he comes on my podcast, though, I usually try to keep these podcasts to about an hour. Well, I'll look and be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, man, we've been talking about 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Well, talking guns can go forever.
No, usually we're not even talking about guns. We're talking about something ridiculous out of the blue. I think we had an hour.
You guys just be going way off the charts with things, like we're trying to do right now. No, we're not going to do that. We're not. We're not going to go there.
Last time we had it was like a 3-hour podcast, and an hour, a little bit over an hour of it was Tony explaining to me in the audience how Karen's leads to socialism.
I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to maintain my dignity, class, and respect.
Yeah, you should. You should go back and watch that, because he just has this whole theory about how like Karen's is like the rid of all socialism.
Well, we have a lot of people that just don't understand things, and they want things to go their way all the time, and it's almost like a 2-3-year-old child, tantrum or something to that extent. But I don't judge people. I'm old enough to walk away from people and allow people to speak their piece, and I just disengage and separate. So that's something I don't worry about. I'm a little bit older than the average other person, and I know better. So they're out there. People are angry. You don't get to judge other people. You can't legislate away evil. You can't control other people's emotions. So, we just have to know that. And when we see something of the sort, we just disengage and separate it and keep it moving.
Speaking of emotions, was it emotionally hard for you, or hard for you at all, to decide to sue?
No, it wasn't emotionally hard. It was, should I do it? Because I was in a situation where I had just lost my health. So I wasn't focusing on anything Second Amendment. I was dealing with the fact that someone had just tried to break into my home. And at that point in time, I knew that I wasn't taking a loss, that by any means I was going to defend myself. And it didn't matter at what cost to the other individual that was trying to break in. And just so happened, I had just got off life support when I saw the McDonald case had been won. And I just learned how to walk again. So
wow,
that was my situation. That's a whole nother story. So that was the nature of Ezell versus Chicago. I lost my health. I just got off life support. I had to learn how to walk again. McDonald versus Chicago. I saw it on the news, and oh my God, let me get this license. At the time, it was a CFP, a Chicago firearm permit, that you had to have the gun in the home based on the victory of the McDonald case. And so I wanted to do that because I knew that I was in a situation where I was going to have to defend myself, and I wasn't going to hesitate to do so, and I wouldn't hesitate right now. So, that's that. And
I don't think you will.
I went to that place and I took the class, and then when they told us, well, tomorrow we have to go to a gun range that was actually like 50 or 60 miles away, well, I barely could walk and I barely could drive. And it was tough for me getting there. So that was a part that made the case even more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I got back, I was like, look, guys, this thing it was so much to do this and so much to get there. And that's when we sat down and we was discussing things, and we came to that conclusion. And once again, Ezell versus Chicago was born.
Was your health issue due to the break-in?
No.
Okay, just making sure that.
No, they attempted to break in. They never got it. So,
I got
yeah.
So there's a lot of people emotional right now, and we're seeing a bunch of protests around the nation, which I support the protest. But there's also been a lot of rioting, and not been a lot. There's been some rioting and some civil unrest, and I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because it seems like some of the people that are coming in and doing like the looting and rioting aren't really from the areas. It seems like
the way that I feel about this is because it's rare that I even speak about police involved shootings and killings. This is the first time that I've ever spoken about it, and this is the first time that I ever spoke about it on camera. The fact that they are marching and protesting, I support free speech, march and protest. But the agitators, the rioters, the people that were not good protesters, the people that were there to vandalize and bring destruction to the communities that we live in, the communities were destroyed, and those people went back home to their safe space. Those are the people that I don't agree with. The positive protesters that was there to protest the killing, I agree with wholeheartedly. But when it came down to what it turned into at nighttime, the rioters, the looting, the vandalism, all they did was destroy the community, and to wake up the next day to not have any place to go shop for food, medications, or anything of that nature. And who knows, are those businesses going to come back into these communities? And it's not just the Black communities. This happened everywhere across the country. They burned down Washington, D.C. Okay? So
Yeah,
if we're going to look at this, let's look at this through a bigger lens than saying, oh, the Black community, the inner city were dead. No, America has been damaged.
yeah,
And they've taken this crisis to the point where they're utilizing it as a political tool now. It's way beyond the protest of the death of George Floyd. I agree with the protest. I believe there has to be change. But the nature of the negative energy put forth by other individuals who laid destruction. We've seen pallets of bricks strategically placed in places around the country where there weren't even any construction sites there.
you can
Just
check
to
my article.
enlighten on, help out with the violence. So those people are the people that I say is responsible for the devastation.
You can
And
check out my
you know,
article on Email about the bricks, by the way.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, because I contacted some federal law enforcement sources, and when I was like, "Do you guys have any leads? Do you have any idea who bought the bricks?" And their answer was, "No, but we really want to know. So if you find anything out, let me know." Because I did a search, check brick companies, check
I did too.
truck
I did
companies,
too.
like around the country, and just they were there. I verified that they were there, but I also verified that it seems like they came out of nowhere. Like nobody bought them, or somebody bought them a long time ago, or in another area and brought them to that area.
No, no. If you've worked long enough in any, I want to say, it depends on what profession. You can tell those pallets of bricks. The fact that they were on a pallet and delivered tells you it came from a corporate entity.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, there was just a rock by the street and someone picked up a stone and they just threw the stone. No, this was strategically placed there, and uh, as if you would have bought these bricks to build something. But the nature of nothing being built in the area let you know that they were strategically put there just for destruction. And so, there's a lot of people probably complicit in these things. I don't know who they are. I'm not to point fingers, but these are just things that I've evaluated on my own because I try to do my own homework and I come to my own conclusions. I don't like hearsay or try to just latch on to what people say and think. I like to try to say, well, let me evaluate this situation myself and what do I think? Because when I speak, even when I speak through social media, I'm giving my perspective. I'm not giving a political view. I'm not choosing a political side. I'm not supporting a certain individual unless I say I am. These are my words, and these are how I feel because I've lived long enough and been through enough to know better.
yeah. I'm an investigative journalist, and I even called and checked on police reports to see if bricks were stolen from construction sites or whatnot. I checked Ryder's truck registrations, U-Haul registration, which is kind of tough. It seems like whoever bought these bricks already had them, which is
well. One thing about it is, a rioter wouldn't be able to buy bricks and bring them to the site. You need a forklift. You have to get a pallet. You'd have to get the bricks from the corporation, and you have to deliver them. I mean, a rioter is not going to go through all that. Maybe a billionaire that wants to destroy this country will.
Yeah, you're probably right
But
about
what
that.
do I know? What do I know? I don't know. I'm just saying. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't think the rioters looking at the videos even knew. I don't think they had a heads up that the bricks were going to be there.
No, they just found out, and then some realized, like, oh my God, this is a setup. I saw certain videos where people had figured out that this was a setup for destruction. And when you take a look at that, the only thing that's going to come out of this is there's not going to be the people that had lost their jobs due to COVID. Some have lost their jobs, lost their lives, and may never go back to work. Those that were maybe fortunate enough to go back to work, if they are, they may have lost that opportunity as well, because they've destroyed these businesses to the point where they may not ever open again. And that's across the country. Because we've seen prominent areas in certain states destroyed. But the notion that they burned up Lafayette Park in Washington, D.C. was, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what type of George. I don't know what type of George, person would want to see that.
Well, it's not about George or at this point the death of George Floyd.
I'm talking about that George. I'm talking about. I don't know what type of George. Maybe George with a last name that starts with an S that would like to see the destruction of the United States that happens to be.
Well, it's amazing what we're dealing with, and we have to be careful, and we have to make sure that we're watching and paying attention, because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, and we just have to prepare. I mean, I was outdone, because when I went to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, and I went 2 years in a row, and we had to cancel this year due to the situation. It was due to COVID at first, and then the situation with George losing his life added on to the situation. And to see them destroy Washington, D.C. to that magnitude, it was eye-opening, because when I visited Washington, D.C. and I took a tour, they made sure that we didn't touch any of the statues, and I almost leaned on one by accident. And I mean, I almost to catch my balance, because it's like human nature to lean on something, and to remember that I was not to touch or lean on any of those statues inside that building, to watch people burn and destroy things on the outside in Washington, D.C. It was unbelievable.
They spray painted the World War II memorial and also the Lincoln Memorial.
The Lincoln Memorial and everything. And they burned down the church. I mean, so, what are we doing here at this point? Like, it's not about the death anymore. It's destroy this country. And why are you destroying the country? Who knows? Everybody has their own agenda. I'm not going to put out there why people are destroying the country, because I don't do the political thing. I evaluate those things on my own.
Yeah,
but this is where we are right now in this country.
I have a friend that is convinced that it's due to a bunch of pent up rage, which I don't know. Even if it is, it seems kind of.
I don't think it's pent up rage. I just honestly gonna say, at this point, we're beyond the death of George Floyd. This is about politics at this point.
Yeah.
What we're saying now.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would agree, and it's really sad to me because I thought, hey, we can have this conversation, and we can get better. But then it just all got politicized, and it just kind of
Right,
broke my heart that we had this opportunity, and now it's politicized, and people
right.
were
That's what's happening.
coming together. When George Floyd died, which was terrible, people on the left and people on the right both agreed that his death was terrible, and people were
Right,
communicating, and then it started getting politicized, and
right.
both
Everyone around the country watched
just
that video and saw with their own two eyes in disbelief of what they witnessed, and they agreed. They all agreed with what they saw. But when people take that situation and they utilize it for something else, for some other type of gain, then we're talking a whole different ball game. And I say at this point in time, that's where we are now. We are way beyond the death of George Floyd. And
yeah,
and we know that. And I'm not gonna continue to elaborate on that. That's just a fact. We're past that. It's been politicized now, and they're gonna take it as far as they could possibly take it.
yeah,
You know,
John.
uh, seeing seeing people in Congress kneeling in African attire, not knowing what it represents, that's just pandering and it's disrespectful. And
I talked to a
but
friend.
what it does is it plays on the mental state of individuals who are already fragile. So they know what they're doing. They know what
Yeah,
they're doing. But I just, I'm not here to point fingers and tell people who they should and shouldn't vote for. I'm here to tell you to make sure that you get out and vote. That's
yeah,
what's important. Have an agenda, have something that you believe in, find someone that supports what you support, and cast your vote. It's just that simple. All the other things that we're seeing with some of these people, it's saddening. It's disheartening. It's disrespectful.
yeah. My friend, who's from Africa, Nigeria, he asked me if I saw it. I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I was like, you seem really, really pissed off about this, about about them kneeling in it. And he was like, they don't understand the thing that they were wearing. I can't even remember what it was called, but that
Right. I
represents,
don't know the terminology as well.
yeah, that
But
represents the wealthy people. The normal people in Africa don't have that. Only the wealthy people have that. So it's like it's
but
supposed to represent
I mean,
wealth. They don't know.
it's probably not just Africa, maybe Ghana, it'd be any other country that they're disrespecting because they
Yeah,
want to send a subliminal message to the black community that they support them. They could have picked and chosen anything else, like doing something for the last 20, 30, 40 years that you've been in office, that you had the opportunity to do something for the black community. You could have done it then. Don't come in on the backside of a tragedy and try to utilize it for your political gain.
well,
It's
isn't Rahm
sad.
Emanuel from Chicago? Rahm Emanuel
Who?
once said that Rahm Emanuel,
Absolutely. Never let a
yeah,
crisis go to waste. And
exactly.
they utilize that. And they say that, and it's the worst thing that could ever be said because it's not doing any justice to these families. It's not doing any justice to the black community. It's doing more harm than good. But we'll only know long term, down the road, because these people that are in office had the opportunity to do something about racial equality for the last 40 years that they've held a seat in any, is whether it be Congress, our state and local government. These people are career politicians. We need to have term limits at this point. I mean, what are we
Absolutely,
doing?
absolutely. George Washington said it way back then that there should be no career politicians. He believed in the you go do your 2 terms, whatever, and then you go back to private life. There should be no one in politics for the whole life.
Right. I
And
mean, these people, if you do the math, they're there because of personal gain. They're not there to make law. They're not there to do their job, what they were elected to do. You have people that have been elected to Congress that are making $150,000 and say
170.
been there. No, just throwing a number out there. And then you've been in office 20 years and you multiply that, but then you check their bank account and they have $100 million. How is that even possible?
Yeah, the Clintons went
Right.
into the White House worth I think it was like $200,000, and when they came out, they were worth $100 million.
Right, this doesn't make sense. And this is what I'm saying. How is that even possible? Because even if you made what you made and you multiply it and you deduct all your cost of living all those years, including putting your children through college, you shouldn't have $100 million. But this is where we are. And they want to hold on to that. They want to hold on to that power. That is why they're doing all the little shenanigans that they're doing right now, which is sad, rude, and disrespectful to all mankind.
It's like Trey Gowdy didn't go for. He decided, he bowed out and said, "I don't want to be reelected to this crap." Trey Gowdy got in there and he saw how the game was played, and he's like, "I know, I'm not going to play this game. I'm done."
Well, it's sad because some people go to Congress or get into politics to make change, but when they get there and find out that they're a part of this game that has to be played, then they're like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? They're not there to make policy. They're not there to voice their own opinion. They're being told and dictated to what they should and shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's crazy.
And if you don't believe that, just look at some of the state bills around anti-gun bills around different states. You will notice that even though they've all written by separate people, that the words are like identical.
They have the same thing. So, these are things that they're putting forward, and they have the same agenda, and they speak the same language. And it's our job to make sure that we stay on top of things and take them to court. If we beat them in the courts, we've been beating them for a while now. And the Second Amendment has been winning.
It has.
So
a lot of people
we just have to stay on top of that. In Virginia, I think you guys got to really vote out your governor. I mean, who am I to say, look at our governor. He bought his way in. He's a billionaire, but okay. We just have to stay on top of things. And the Second Amendment community, we're winning right now. And now, like I say, is stay focused, stay engaged, and make sure that we stick it to them. Gotta win.
Yeah. We might, GOA might have, and me might have a slew of cases coming down suing the state on a bunch of different issues next month. It's just a feeling I have.
Mm-hmm. And that's good. That's great because I met Eric before, and I did a interview with
Eric Pratt.
I'm about to get this wrong. No, the dad.
Oh, Larry Pratt.
Larry Pratt. Yes, I did an interview with Larry a couple of years ago, and then I met Eric a couple of years ago here at the Gun Right Policy Conference here in Chicago a couple of years ago. So, I don't know if the Gun Right Policy Conference is going to actually take place this year. I'll have to kind of check into that to see.
I think they moved it.
Okay. So I have to check into that. So, yeah. Excuse me 1 second.
Kermit Loves Bacon. We did see about the Connecticut big win. We discussed that because Miss Ezell, as she's known on Twitter, her case was actually cited in the Connecticut case. But yep, I don't want to keep you on too much longer. We've actually over because I don't know. You're friends with Tony Simon, so you guys have a lot of the same personality.
Great. He's a great guy.
But you're welcome on anytime. Anytime.
Thank you.
G Webs, who goes to the GRPC every year. GRPC is online for this year, as scheduled. Okay. Gun websites. He's a big YouTuber. And he goes to all these stuff like around the country. Gets in his van and just drive there, whether it's GRPC, whether it's SHOT, or whether it's the
Now I haven't been to SHOT yet.
Oh, you should go.
They said it's rough. They get sick a lot, so I have to be careful.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. At some point in time, I'm gonna make my way to SHOT Show.
Yeah, so, I think people get sick.
At some point in time, it'll happen.
Like covering it as a journalist, I am up really, really early in the morning, and then I, there from open to close of SHOT, and then after that, I usually have to go meet with people, different people. Go out to dinner, go to these parties. Not because I want to, because a lot of times I don't because I'm so tired, but because I have to. I'm covering it. Then I get back to the room, and then I have to write. And a lot of times my family comes, so I have to go hang out with them too. So I run on like 45 minutes to 2 hours of sleep a night. So I think a lot of people end up doing that, and I think that's why a lot of people get sick. And G Webs is a big fan of yours, by the way.
G Webs?
Yeah, gun websites on YouTube.
Okay.
He's a big
Tell
YouTuber.
them to reach out. Tell them to reach out so we can do an interview or something. I have to look them up. See who they are. Send me a friend request or follow me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter at ms_EZELL.
All right. I will let you go, but before I let you go, tell people how else they can find you. I'll put up the DC Project website first.
Okay.
So you remember the DC Project to dcproject.info, and your website for your group is chicagogunsmatter.org.
Correct. They can reach us at dcproject.info. You can reach me at chicagogunsmatter.org, ms_EZELL on Twitter, and Rhonda Ezell /Facebook. So reach out, people. Get in touch with us. Let's do some talking. Let's chat it up. Let's get some interviews. Let's educate the country, people. Let's do what we do.
It'd be like Maz. Maz never says chat it up. Let's chop it up.
I'm Miss Ezell. I'm old school.
Let's get together and chop it up. First time I heard that, I'm like, it's like chop what up?
That's old lingo.
See, that's old lingo. That is. I'm just like,
okay. Just stick around long enough, you'll learn it.
Yeah, I was like, chop it up. Like, what do you want?
But see, when you get my age, you have to be a little bit more. You can't be like you were 20 years ago. Can't be saying you're gonna chop it up. We're gonna chat. We're gonna talk about some things.
That works for me. All right, Rhonda. Hey, don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you off air for 1 second, but let me go ahead and close out the show with saying thank you. And you can always do a super chat, patreon.com/John Crump. You can do the PayPal me.jcc, John CC. Also, there is a link in the description about my niece. Every penny that I make from this, and even my t-shirt company, Black Swan Tactical, all the profits now from that, it's all going to help my niece who is suffering from a severe form of brain cancer. So if you could go to the Patreon, become a Patreon, all that money will go to them. Super chats, PayPal, go to the GoFundMe. Let's help them out. And there's something special that's going to be coming up pretty soon. But other than that, oh my God, I just blew my screen. That sounded bad. I just made my screen really, really big. All right, I'm back. So thank you guys for watching, and we will be back later on with Milsurp Mike. I think that's our next guest. I have to check. My producer is not here tonight, so I'm not sure. Exactly, but I think it's Milsar Mike. So let me go ahead and I will play the video and we will get out of here. And thank you for watching.
You've been watching Fireside Chats with John Crump, a Black Swan Media Group production. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tune in every week for a conversation with the difference makers in the world.